Did you know there are volcanoes on Earth so dangerous and so active that they could wipe out entire cities at any time? Welcome to a list of the most extremely dangerous volcanoes on Earth that will likely erupt in our lifetime. Every volcano on this list is a threat for a different reason. Some are quiet today, but have produced massive eruptions in the past. Others are already erupting, sometimes constantly, and people still live in their shadow. As we move through the list, the probability of eruption increases. The volcanoes at the end are the most unstable and could erupt with little or no warning, releasing deadly forces that leave almost no time to escape. Number 2 on this list is widely considered the most dangerous volcano in the United States. Number 6 is already erupting almost continuously, producing some of the most intense and visually violent lava activity on the planet. And the last volcano on the list is the home of the largest lava lake in the world. But let's start with number 1. A legendary volcano that isn't erupting right now, yet still poses a serious threat to the lives of millions of people. What makes this iconic place dangerous isn't constant activity. It's what happens when silence finally breaks. Mount Fuji sits on the island of Honshu in central Japan, less than 100 kilometers from Tokyo, the largest metropolitan area on Earth. Its location matters because any major eruption here would not be a remote disaster. It would unfold within reach of tens of millions of people, critical infrastructure, and one of the world's most densely connected economies. Mount Fuji rises 3,776 meters above sea level, or 12,389 feet, making it the highest mountain in Japan. It is a classic stratovolcano, built from layers of lava, ash, and volcanic debris. Volcanoes of this type tend to erupt explosively, especially after long periods of inactivity, when gas pressure has time to build within the magma system. Fuji is often described as dormant, but that is misleading. It is officially classified as an active volcano. Its last eruption occurred in 1707, during what is known as the Hoi eruption. That eruption did not produce lava flows reaching cities, but it blanketed large parts of central Japan in ash. Ashfall reached Edo, modern-day Tokyo, disrupting life in the city and surrounding regions. Since around 2011, following the massive Tohoku earthquake, scientists have detected increased seismic activity beneath Mount Fuji. This does not mean an eruption is imminent, and Japanese authorities have been clear about that. However, it confirmed that the magma system beneath Fuji is still responsive and active. The reason Fuji is considered extremely dangerous is not frequency, but consequence. Even a moderate eruption would send ash high into the atmosphere, carried directly toward Tokyo and surrounding prefectures. Government models show that heavy ashfall could collapse roofs, contaminate water supplies, shut down rail networks, close airports, and disable power systems across a region. None of this requires lava to reach the city. Today, Mount Fuji looks peaceful. People climb it, photograph it, and treat it as a symbol of stability. But every evacuation plan, hazard map, and monitoring station around it exists for the same reason. Fuji has erupted before, and scientists are certain that it will erupt again. This is why we start here, with a volcano that is quiet, iconic, and deceptively calm. For the next volcano, we are moving across the Pacific to the western edge of North America. This region is known for forests, mountains, and rain, not for volcanoes. From above, the peak ahead dominates the landscape, rising far higher than anything around it. This is one of the most carefully studied natural threats in the United States, not because it erupts often, but because it doesn't need to. Mount Rainier is located in the state of Washington in the Cascade Range, less than 100 kilometers from Seattle and directly upstream from several populated river valleys. Its position matters because millions of people live, work, and commute on terrain that was shaped by this volcano, and could be reshaped by it again. Mount Rainier rises 4,392 meters above sea level, or 14,411 feet, making it the highest volcano in the contiguous United States. It is a large stratovolcano, built from layers of lava and ash, and capped by the most extensive glacier system in the Cascade Range. What makes Rainier uniquely dangerous is not explosive eruptions, but ice. The volcano is covered by more than 24 glaciers. If magma rises and melts that ice, or if part of the volcano collapses, enormous mudflows known as lahars can form. These flows behave like fast-moving wet concrete, racing down river valleys and burying everything in their path. Rainier has produced some of the largest lahars on Earth. One of them, known as the Osceola mudflow, occurred around 5,600 years ago. It traveled more than 100 kilometers, filling valleys, altering river systems, and creating the flat land where towns like Orting and Puyallup exist today. Tens of thousands of people now live directly on top of these ancient deposits. In some areas downstream, lahars could reach communities in less than an hour. This is why Mount Rainier has one of the most extensive volcanic warning systems in the United States, including sirens designed to alert people who may have only minutes to evacuate. A collapse, a sudden release of meltwater, or a relatively small eruptive event could be enough to send deadly flows through populated valleys. Mount Rainier stands quietly today, towering above cities that depend on the land it once destroyed. Its danger lies not in how often it erupts, but in how much is at stake when it does. Next, we're moving south, across the Atlantic into southern Europe. This is a region shaped by ancient history, dense urban growth, and limited space to escape. The coastline ahead has been settled continuously for thousands of years. Cities here weren't built around modern risk models. They were built because the land was fertile, the climate was mild, and the volcano nearby appeared quiet. That silence will not last forever. Mount Vesuvius is located in southern Italy, directly east of the city of Naples. More than 3 million people live within the wider metropolitan area, making this one of the most densely populated volcanic regions on Earth. Unlike many volcanoes, Vesuvius does not rise in a remote wilderness. It sits in the middle of a continuous urban landscape. Mount Vesuvius stands 1,281 meters above sea level, or 4,203 feet. It is a stratovolcano, a type known for producing highly explosive eruptions when pressure builds beneath the surface. Vesuvius is part of the Campanian volcanic system, a geologically active zone driven by subduction beneath the Italian peninsula. Vesuvius is infamous for the eruption in 79 AD that destroyed Pompeii, Herculaneum, and several surrounding towns. That eruption unfolded over roughly 24 hours. It began with a towering ash column, followed by pyroclastic flows that swept down the slopes at extreme temperatures. Thousands of people were killed, many instantly, and entire cities were buried and preserved in place. What is often overlooked is that this was not a one-time event. Vesuvius has erupted many times since then, including a series of eruptions between the 17th and 20th centuries. Its most recent eruption occurred in 1944, during the Second World War, destroying nearby villages and forcing evacuations. Since that eruption, Vesuvius has been quiet. That long silence is part of what makes it dangerous. Stratovolcanoes like this tend to erupt violently after extended periods of inactivity, when gas-rich magma accumulates below the surface. Scientists do not claim to know when the next eruption will occur, but there is no debate about whether it will occur again. Vesuvius is monitored continuously by the Italian National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology. Detailed emergency plans are in place, dividing the surrounding region into hazard zones. In the highest risk areas, evacuation would involve hundreds of thousands of people moved within a narrow time window before an eruption. Much of the population living closest to Vesuvius was born after the last eruption. For them, the volcano has always been quiet. But the geological record shows that Vesuvius will not remain quiet indefinitely. When it erupts again, it will not be an isolated disaster. It will be a modern eruption unfolding in the middle of a densely populated European city, with consequences that extend far beyond the volcano itself. Next volcano is located further west, along the backbone of the Americas, in a region where large cities sit directly beneath active volcanic systems. This is a place where daily life continues under constant monitoring, alerts, and restrictions. The landscape ahead is crowded, connected, and exposed. Here, a volcano doesn't need to surprise anyone to cause disruption. It only needs to keep doing what it's already doing. Popocatépetl is located in central Mexico, roughly 70 kilometers southeast of Mexico City and close to the cities of Puebla and Tlaxcala. More than 20 million people live within range of its hazards. Its location alone places it among the most dangerous volcanoes on Earth. Popocatépetl rises 5,426 meters above sea level, or 17,806 feet. It is a large stratovolcano, built from layers of lava and ash, capable of explosive eruptions driven by gas-rich magma. Its steep slopes and deep crater allow pressure to build efficiently beneath the surface. Unlike many volcanoes that alternate between long quiet periods and brief eruptions, Popocatépetl has been in a prolonged active phase since 1994. Over the past 3 decades, it has produced frequent explosions, ash plumes, lava dome growth, and crater collapses. Activity levels fluctuate, but the volcano has never truly shut down during this period. In recent years, seismic activity, gas emissions, and visible explosions have continued. Ashfall regularly affects nearby towns and cities, forcing airport closures, school suspensions, and temporary evacuations. Mexico's National Center for Disaster Prevention monitors the volcano around the clock and maintains a color-coded alert system that is adjusted as conditions change. One of the defining moments in Popocatépetl modern history came in 1995, when rising activity prompted the evacuation of tens of thousands of people from surrounding communities. That event marked a shift in how the volcano is managed, transforming it from a distant natural feature into a constant presence in daily life. Scientists do not claim to know when Popocatépetl will produce a larger eruption, but there is no uncertainty about whether it will continue erupting. The magma system remains active, and ongoing activity confirms that future eruptions are not hypothetical events. They are part of the volcano's current behavior. Next, we're moving into Southeast Asia, where some of the most densely populated volcanic landscapes on Earth exist side by side with constant activity. Here, volcanoes are not distant threats. They are part of everyday life. The slopes ahead are crowded with towns, farms, and roads. This is a place where eruptions don't arrive as rare disasters. They arrive as cycles, predictable, repeated, and deadly. Mount Merapi is located on the island of Java in Indonesia, directly north of the city of Yogyakarta. More than 3 million people live within the broader hazard zone. The volcano's position matters because its most dangerous flows are channeled straight toward populated valleys. Mount Merapi rises 2,968 meters above sea level, or 9,738 feet. It is a stratovolcano, known for a specific and especially lethal behavior: the repeated growth and collapse of lava domes inside its summit crater. Instead of long periods of quiet followed by a single eruption, Merapi operates in cycles. Thick lava slowly rises and piles up at the summit, forming an unstable dome. Over time, parts of that dome collapse, generating pyroclastic flows, fast-moving clouds of superheated gas, ash, and rock that race down the slopes at speeds exceeding 100 kilometers per hour. Merapi's eruption history is one of repetition and loss. In 1994, pyroclastic flows killed dozens of people who were working on the slopes. In 2006, another eruption caused evacuations and fatalities. The most destructive modern eruption occurred in 2010, when a series of powerful dome collapses and explosions killed more than 300 people and forced the evacuation of hundreds of thousands. Unlike many volcanoes, Merapi rarely gives long warning times. Monitoring agencies often detect increased activity only days or weeks before major collapses occur. Since 2020, Merapi has been in an ongoing eruptive phase, with persistent dome growth and repeated collapses sending pyroclastic flows several kilometers from the summit. One of the most striking facts about Merapi is that its danger is fully understood, yet largely accepted by those who live nearby. Communities rebuild in the same places after each eruption, knowing that another will follow. Merapi does not need a rare, massive eruption to be lethal. Its normal behavior is enough. Next, we venture into Central America, along a chain of volcanoes where activity is frequent and often underestimated. This is a landscape where eruptions are not rare events. They are part of the background. Here, danger doesn't come from a distant future eruption. It comes from what happens when a volcano that is already active suddenly escalates. Volcán de Fuego is located in southern Guatemala, just 40 kilometers from the capital, Guatemala City. Several towns and villages are built directly on its lower slopes and along the valleys that drain away from it. Its position matters because these valleys act as natural channels, carrying volcanic flows straight into populated areas. Fuego rises 3,763 meters above sea level, or 12,345 feet. It is a steep stratovolcano, part of a closely spaced volcanic complex. Of all the volcanoes in Central America, Fuego is one of the most persistently active. Unlike volcanoes that store energy for decades before erupting, Fuego releases pressure constantly. It produces frequent explosive eruptions, ash plumes, and lava flows, sometimes on a daily basis. This regular activity creates a dangerous illusion of familiarity, where small eruptions are treated as routine and warning signs are easy to ignore. That illusion collapsed on June 3, 2018. After weeks of heightened activity, a sudden escalation produced powerful pyroclastic flows that raced down multiple valleys. These flows moved faster than evacuation orders could be enforced. Entire communities were overrun. At least 190 people were killed, and many more were reported missing. Homes, roads, and farmland were buried under meters of ash and debris. What made the 2018 disaster especially significant was that it was not a rare type of eruption for Fuego. It was an intensification of behavior the volcano had shown many times before. The difference was scale and timing. The escalation happened quickly, and the flows reached areas that were believed to be outside the highest risk zones. Since then, Fuego has continued to erupt. Explosions, lava fountains, and glowing flows are regularly visible at night. One of the most disturbing facts about Volcán de Fuego is that it rarely gives people the psychological space to prepare. Because it is almost always active, escalation does not feel exceptional until it is already deadly. Fuego does not belong on this list because it might erupt someday. It belongs here because it is erupting now, and history shows that when its activity suddenly intensifies, the consequences are immediate and lethal. For the final volcano, we fly to Central Africa, to a region shaped by rifting, instability, and limited warning systems. This is not a place where disasters unfold slowly. The landscape ahead sits on a fracture in the Earth's crust, where magma rises easily and escapes fast. Here, danger isn't measured by how big an eruption is. It's measured by how quickly it reaches people. Mount Nyiragongo is located in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, just north of the city of Goma, which sits directly on its southern flank. More than 1 million people live within the immediate hazard zone. The city's expansion has placed neighborhoods directly in the paths of past lava flows. Mount Nyiragongo rises 3,470 meters above sea level, or 11,385 feet. It is a stratovolcano, but one with unusually low viscosity lava. This lava is among the fastest moving on Earth, capable of flowing at speeds that can outpace people trying to escape on foot. What makes Nyiragongo fundamentally different from most volcanoes is its persistent lava lake, largest in the world. For long periods, molten lava sits exposed inside the crater, indicating a direct and continuous connection to magma deep below the surface. This means the system does not need to rebuild pressure slowly. It is already primed. Nyiragongo has erupted repeatedly in modern times. In 1977, a sudden eruption drained the lava lake in minutes, sending lava racing down the slopes. Hundreds of people were killed, many caught while trying to flee. In 2002, another eruption sent multiple lava flows through Goma. Entire neighborhoods were destroyed, and approximately 250,000 people were displaced. Lava crossed the city, cut major roads, and entered Lake Kivu. The most recent major eruption occurred in May 2021. Fissures opened on the volcano's flanks with little warning. Lava again flowed toward Goma, destroying homes and forcing mass evacuations. While the main flow narrowly missed the city center, dozens of people were killed in related incidents, including building collapses and accidents during evacuation. Nyiragongo is monitored by the Goma Volcano Observatory, which tracks seismic activity and ground deformation. However, limited resources, political instability, and the volcano's rapid behavior reduce warning time. In some cases, eruptions may provide only minutes of notice before lava reaches populated areas. Unlike explosive volcanoes that announce themselves with ash clouds and loud explosions, Nyiragongo's eruptions can be deceptively quiet. Lava emerges from fissures and moves downhill with relentless speed, cutting off escape routes and trapping communities. Nyiragongo stands at the end of this list because it represents the shortest distance between eruption and disaster. When it erupts again, and history shows that it will, there will be very little time to react. After all of this, one question remains. Which of these volcanoes will cause destruction first? And how do millions of people live next to these ticking time bombs? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and watch my other stuff. Thanks for watching.